passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on, so Nuroff in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down it towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's allowed to have fun. Yeah, and
It's all about the entertainment, so I hope
everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is enjoying himself watching. And Burger King machine's off into the grass a little bit there. Is that really bunching up now?
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it. Medeiros is going to get it.
They haven't got it!
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's gonna do it! Big Barry!
Third successive broadcast of the day, but looking back at what happened, 11 cars finished last time out last week at Monte Carlo, but we go to a street circuit here, James. It's very, very fast, but then when you get through turn 5 and 6, then turn 7 to turn 18 is a bit of a conundrum in the fact that you've got nowhere to breathe.
Yeah, no, it's very fast paced, isn't it? You know, you're going up as well in sector 2, so it's going to be a very interesting how they deal with this. It's all about whether or not they're going to be able to keep up with the racetrack, and I know that sounds a little bit peculiar, right? But it is generally how they're going to have to cope with it and keep up with the racetrack here as well. So let's see how they get on. It's going to be an exciting one regardless.
So we're underway with Q1. Yellow's out in sectors 1 and 3. Now Barron's DC for Mercedes. Currently fastest of anybody, 1 minute 40.065. Zelazny, Graxon, Jack and John Meister round out the top 5 positions, covered by just over 8.5 tenths of a second. We've got a Williams in the top 6, courtesy of Kaz team. The Centex running in the one of 2 Ferraris, rounding up the top 7, and Matti in the first of the Red Bulls. Mateusz Toplinsky leads the standings by just a point coming into this 7th round out of 18. And of course, with the cautions, it will compromise lap times, as we've always seen over Formula 1 these days, James. And here you can just see how close these walls are in proximity. There are a couple of runoff areas, but it's that big old turn 5, turn 6 chicane that's uphill, and as we've seen in real life, that one bites really, really hard.
Yeah, it does. They're going to have to be really, really, really careful. So they've got to make sure that they get it round every single part of the circuit and stay away from the walls as such, because otherwise they are going to be in trouble. Guys, I just want to sort something out really quickly. We're going to pop onto a BRB screen and we'll be right back in 2 secs. Right.
Right. Okay, so Q1 continuing onwards here at the Baku Grand Prix for round 7 of season 10 of pole position racing with myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and James Parfitt. Your commentary duo over the course of qualifying and also the race itself. Ranks DC for Mercedes is still leading in this Q1 session with 7 minutes on the timer to go, as Barracks was over 209 miles an hour, and it's just gone quickest as well. A sub 1 minute 40, 1 minute 39.531 second lap time. And this is going to be very, very crucial on the qualifying times to set the grid for this race. And James, as I said, these walls are biting very, very hard indeed.
Yeah, they definitely are. They're going to have to be really, really careful. I think that's going to be the question on how they're going to cope with it. They're going to have side-by-side action, right? And we're going to see that one, and we've seen it before. But they have just got to be really, really careful on dealing with this tight race space, because what you don't want is all of the cars not to finish, because that will just be a spoiler for everyone. You know, you've got to make sure that you can see everything all at the same time here, and it's going to be an impossible job, but hopefully for us to be able to do this and these guys to survive there as well.
Yeah, so again, another caution. Drivers just really finding the limits of adhesion here, and also the barriers at times. Busick in the Williams has also ended up returning back to the garage, so we are just trying to sort out a couple of things here for you folks, because obviously we want to make sure you get the full immersive experience of this 3.73 mile circuit, opened back in June of 2016 and is on the Azadlik Square in Baku Central. But Zelazny, who is currently second at the moment, 1 minute 40.116, currently sits a point behind Toflinski in the standings.
Yeah.
And John Meister is in third. Graxent rounds out the top 4, and Kajti in the leading Williams has moved up to 5th position. Again, another caution out in sector 3, but a lot of drivers now coming in for the final hurrah in terms of this this Q1 session. And Busick looks to disconnect. Looks to have left the session at the moment, but we've got just over 4.5 minutes to go. And Toflinski hasn't set a lap time. And here at Baku, we both know that, James, that this circuit, you need to qualify well. And if Toflinski doesn't get out into the server, he's going to be having to do a top gear from the rear.
Well, top gear for the rear. The question will be whether or not he's going to be able to do that. That's going to be the thing, isn't it? Whether or not he can actually get through the field. It's going to be a tough one in general. It's not an easy circuit to overtake. So I think going forward, they are going to struggle. So we're going to have to see how they get on here.
Yeah, we're riding on board with Kajti, 5th in the standings on 50 points, currently running P5, best 4th at the moment, 1 minute 40.408. But Branks DC at the minute, fastest of anybody, and that's nearly 6/10 of a second that we see as we now ride on board with the Williams, going through into 5 and 6, but then it's turn 8 and 9 that is the real pinch point. That is going to be single file as the Williams makes its way through turn 7. Gets a bit of wheel spin, back end steps out to the left hand side, then into 8 and 9, through into 10. Very tight technical section here, James, but this is really a power circuit. This is really a speed circuit, but that real point between turn 7 and turn 12 is the pinch point at this circuit, and I definitely know for a fact we could see some attrition like we did in Monte Carlo last time out.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to be always struggling at certain tracks, and I think the thing is they've just got to be drastically careful. You know, they've got to make sure that they can not end up in the wall. It's this race is not going to be about who can win. It's going to be about who can last on the circuit the most, because otherwise, if none of them can last, it's going to be a problem, isn't it, for some of these guys? So it's going to be really tough for these guys to see how they get on.
Yep, yellow's out in sectors 1 and 3 again. This is proving to be a difficult one for the drivers here at Baku in Azerbaijan. This is round 7. Of course, next week we head to the Jeddah Corniche circuit at Saudi Arabia. Then the Autodromo Enzo Dino Ferrari circuit at Imola on the 17th. That will be the halfway point of the season. Then we'll have Silverstone on the 24th of March, which will also be a sprint race. Hungary on the 7th of April, Spa on the 14th of April, Monza, the Temple of Speed, on the 21st of April for round 13, Marina Bay in Singapore for round 14 on the 28th of April. We then will be going all the way through to the end of May. 5th of May, Japan, USA at Kota, 12th of May, Mexico City on the 19th, and Yas Marina at Abu Dhabi will curtail season 10 on the 26th of May. We're with John Meister at the moment. Illegal blocking being shown for Gragson in the Mercedes for illegal blocking, but John Meister, one last time out, 11 cars, as I stated. Casualty was second. Debbie in the Ferrari managed to move from 19th on the grid to finish 4th, ahead of Tazo in the Haas, with Gragson 6th, Franek, Barthez, Matti, Kushor and Wellix rounding out the 11 that finished the race. But there were quite a few pit stops. Kushor 6th of them, Gowron also 6th of them. Of course, one of the things that these drivers don't want to do is to get the old black and whites by the right-hand side of the timing tower, because what does that mean, folks? There's a penalty coming their way.
Yeah, it definitely does, and that's the last thing they actually want here, because they don't really want to make sure that they end up with that, because that will just, unfortunately, do the job on them, won't it? It's all game over at that point when you do that, and it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. This is not going to be an easy race for anybody, to be honest.
20 seconds remain in Q1 here at round 7 of PPR Season 10, as we're riding on board with Debbie in the 12th place Ferrari. All gets a bit of a tank slapper at that point. Not exactly what the Ferrari wanted through turn 7. Baranx DC still leading the way in qualifying by nearly the best part of 0.6 of a second. Zalajny, John Meister, Kazti, Gragson, Sentex ran at the top 6. So Kazti will be 4th, Matti 7th in the Red Bull. As again, it's just proving to be very, very difficult for Debbie. Pinballing a little bit off the walls as the car makes its way out of turn number 16. And this is, oh, cool glance to the right front. Hitting the wall on the right-hand side. Now through into turn 18 and 19. And this is where the car's really going to pick up speed. One of the main focuses is that top speed is going to be a factor, aero balance is going to be a factor, but also the crucial use of ERS and DRS. Car also needs to be handling very, very well as Debbie pulls into the pit lane. No surprise there, as the timer is going to be on a countdown for 2 minutes and 10 seconds as drivers do go through for their final push lap here at Baku. Zalajny now trying to do his level best, making his way through turn number 16. Currently the McLaren is 5th at the moment behind his teammate Gowron. But this is where you really see the cars pick up speed. You've got to be millimetre perfect through the apexes. As now onto the start-finish straight goes Zalajny. Gragson goes up to 5th. What's it going to be for Zalajny? Will the McLaren improve? As the speed is going to pick up big time. Across the line, no, and does go P3 to the outside of the second row goes Zalajny. That's a great attempt there. Top 4 in the sub 1 minute 40 second bracket, including Zalajny, Toflinski. No surprise there, as one of the Alpines crosses the line. Wasserschwein from BWT Alpine, 13th in that session. Well, that was very, very close, but the short qualifying shows that Gragson will get a 10-place penalty, it looked like. But Baranx DC, the Belgian for Mercedes-AMG, will take it from pole position. Toflinski, Zalajny, John Meister, Gowron and Gragson ran out the top 6. You then got Kajti, Sentex, Matti, Jack from Alfa Romeo, Tazo, Myros, Wasserschwein, Debe Busick rounding out the top 15. Maverick in 16th. Kushor for Aston Martin, along with Wellix rounding out the top 18. Franek and and the Godfather, the pair of Alpha Tauris, at the back end of this grid. But Baku always provides high speed, high drama as we are getting ready for our 7th race out of 18. We are waiting for everyone to ready up. James, this is going to be quite interesting on how the drivers get themselves geared up, because it is going to be full on concentration, irrespective of where you've qualified.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be the thing there as well. They are going to have to just be, it's all about the ability to muster and grab this circuit by the horns, right? So it's always going to be tough. So let's see how these guys get on there as well. We're just going to bounce over sessions. We'll be right back shortly.
Okay, time to get things underway with the formation lap here ahead of 26 laps of this 3.730 mile 20 turn Baku City Circuit for round 7 of season 10 of Pole Position Racing. Alex Goldschmidt and James Parfitt here to call you through the action. So it is going to be Baran leading from Mateusz Toflinski on the front row. Zelazny and John Meister on row 2. Graxon and Kajdi, row 3. Sentex and Gower on row 4, with Matty and Jack rounding out the top 10. It's the two Haases next up, with Tazo and Mairos on row 6. Debbie and Busick, that's Ferrari and Williams, row 7. Maverick and Kushaw on row 8, with Wasserschwein having been disqualified apparently from the session, was due to start 17th. Velix, Franek and the Godfather round out the 20-strong grid. James, the start is very, very crucial around here at Baku. And Banan did exactly the right job at the right time. Put an absolutely blistering lap. He was 0.6 of a second up on the rest of the field, but quite a few others, including Toflinski, who basically put a lap in there, put himself on the front row. It is going to be the all-important rundown to turn 1 here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be important. They've got to make sure they're covering off the inside line and seeing how they get on, because otherwise they are going to be in trouble. This circuit, I can't express how tough this is. I think they're literally going to end up here working their bottoms off, should we say, on how they're going to do this.
Yeah, so speeds could hit north of 215 plus miles an hour, especially with ERS and DRS being deployed. But of course, DRS will not be activated until the first 2 laps are completed. Set to cover a total distance of nearly 97 miles. Apparently, Jack has been disqualified from the session, due to start on 10th place on the outside of the 5th row. But it's all about getting those all-important brake and tyre temperatures up to spec, as the first few drivers, Banan, Toflinski, Zelazny, making their way through into what is turn number 18. And then they will line up on the grid for the customary 5 lights going on, and then the 5 lights going out. And when they do go out, we'll be underway for 26 laps of racing. A little bit more weaving from side to side by Baran in the Mercedes on pole position, just to get that extra degree or 2 of temperature into that Mercedes. So we've got still plenty of this season left to run, but it is very, very close in the championship standings for the drivers. Of course, for the teams, McLaren on 133, Red Bull 128, Mercedes on 104, and Alfa Romeo on 103, with Toplinski, Zelazny and John Meister, the 3 striding away at the sharp end of the field as everyone gets into their grid positions here at the Baku City Circuit. We're set and ready to get underway with 26 laps of racing. Quite a few drivers look to be disqualified from the session, but we are on starters' orders. The 5 lights here at Baku ignite, and they are out. We're underway. Let's see who gets to the first corner first. Well, Toflinski gets the jump start and gets the drive-through penalty automatically. Baran leads the way through turn 1. It's 2 successive 90 left-handers, and then it's another one at turn 3. Everyone 2 by 2 nose arc style into turn 2. Caution in sector 1 as Wasserschwein has retired from the session. A lot of drivers going onto the hard compound tyres, including the top 4. Garon down in 7th, Matty down in 10th. So already the braking zones very much being tested here in these Formula 1 cars as they make their way out of turn number 4. There is Graxant in 4th place. John Meister's already made, as we've got the virtual safety car out very, very early on this opening lap out of 26. So the drivers will have to go down to respective low speeds here. And already, James, 1 lap, not even 1 lap in, and the VSC has come out. And now we're back underway, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like we are back up and running again now as well. That has something to do with Wasserschwein here. So unfortunately for him, he's just have to I go back to the pits, I think, and go from there, because it looks like there was clearly a problem with his stuff going on. So let's see what happens once more as they do carry on now and work their way through turn 15 down into 16. Who's going to get this through as they're going into 17 and 18?
Yeah, at the moment, Zelazny now up into P2. So Mercedes, McLaren, Alfa Romeo, Mercedes, Williams, Red Bull. Toflinski's got to drive through for that jump start. So Barank leading the way. They are going to be hitting north of 200 miles an hour. So lap 1 will be in the books, and Baran leads the way. Zelazny in second, John Meister third, Kashti, Graxen, Gauron. And Baran puts in a 156.260 hard on the brakes. Third gear, 75 miles an hour, nips the apex in at turn 1. And the good thing is that Baran putting in that barnstorming effort in the short qualifying we had. Was that a glance on the wall for Zelazny on the right? I think that might have been a slight scrape on the sidewalls, but no harm, no foul there for the McLaren, but is quite a distance away. That's at least a second in advance that Baran has got whilst we are currently on lap 2. After this one, we should have DRS activated, but also the thing is, with these big braking zones we've got here at Baku, that's going to help recharge the battery systems on these Formula 1 cars. And with the deployment, you'll see full DRS, full ERS deployment coming out of turn 19 when they can really sort of line the car up, James, and come through that very, very fast right-hander, which is effectively a kink at turns 20 onto the start-finish straight.
Yeah, they can. And then they hit that long run, don't they? That's going to be the most difficult situation to decide what you're going to do. Are you going to challenge going into one, or are you not going challenge into one? And that's going to be the question for some of these drivers, to make sure they deal with this situation and how they go about it, because I think it's going to be very, very interesting there and what they do here within this street circuit of Baku. It's a difficult one. Lap 2 of 26. Let's see what happens.
Zelazny trying to see if he can reel in Baran for the race lead, but it's going to be easier said than done. Now, this is where the power of these hybrid power units come into play, and again, a second virtual safety car in rapid succession. So the field having to slow to a canter, well, not so much a canter, but to a snail's pace. Under the virtual safety car, they're still pushing about 150 plus miles an hour. Some of these drivers are going to have to slow down, as Toflinski showing the drive-through sign on the right-hand side of the timing tower, but Zelazny's got 1 1/4 seconds to make up in that McLaren, and he's trying to do so by using as much as he can. So DRS has been enabled, and this is where things are going to get feisty.
Yeah, absolutely. They're wiggling their way now through turn 4. It's going to be coming into 5 and 6 very, very shortly as well. So this could be very, very interesting for them as they battle away once again. Through 5 and 6 they go on that run down into turn 7. And then the right hand there up through 8, 9 and 10. Of course, that tricky section once more. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle this. You see, there's not a lot of room.
No, there's absolutely nothing as we're riding on board with Zelazny. Caution out in sector number 1, but look at the gap between Baran and Zelazny. It's gone down to under 8.5 tenths of a second, so the McLaren might be picking up a little bit of pace as Zelazny hits the overtake button ever so slightly, hits the brakes down into turn 15, down the crest here into 16, and then it's going to be a case of just start to point that cart in the right direction. Out through turn number 17 they'll go, and now this is where the speed really picks up. 178 miles an hour through turn 17 and 18. Incredible speed. Now we are going to be branching over 190, 200 miles an hour. DRS now activated by Zelazny. Look at the closing speed. 210 miles an hour. That gap is less than 5 tenths of a second. Zelazny hard on the brakes into T1. He's really putting Baran under pressure right now here on lap 4.
Yeah, he definitely is. He's pressurising him going round into turn 2 on that run down into 3 here as well, as we're on lap 4 of 26. Kusha's got the fastest lap, 1:45.849 at the moment, but he is putting him under pressure. That's what he can see there, the ever-closing Baran in front of him once more. So let's see what happens here as these guys fight it out on lap 4 with 22 to remain, and Baran got a big slide coming on there as well. Going down now into the left-hander of 5, through 6. Oh, he's hit the wall.
Oh, dearie me. That's not what the leader wants to do at this point in the race. That is incredibly, incredibly critical to how Zelazny now responds in the McLaren. It's going to be easier said than done. It's one thing to catch somebody. It's something completely different to pass them. The gap has now expanded to over 9/10 of a second. Make that a second now as Baran manages to gather things up in the Mercedes and pull away.
Yeah, it's there as well. So Leslie just went and tapped the wall. He's managed to hold on, but let's see for how long. That's going to be the question, and whether or not he's going to be able to hold this battle as well. We got John Meister right in behind him, and John Meister sat there waiting patiently to make a pounce, of course, and seeing how he does. Whether or not he's going to be able to make his way through, that's going to be a different story altogether. But they're on now on that run down into turn one, as you can see, hitting north of 180, 190 mile an hour.
Yeah, this is where you really have to be incredibly careful with how you negotiate your braking zone into turn number one. And we saw that with Zelazny. John Meister new fastest lap, 1:45.013. Riding on board with Kashti, who's currently rounding out the top four, is now on board with John Meister. And you can see now that that top three battle is really closing at this moment in time. It is not going to be easy for anybody at the front end of the field, especially if you are the leader and someone's got the crosshairs pointed at your rear wing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not in by any shape of the imagination going to be easy for these guys. They're 3 seconds apart at the moment. Casti down here in fourth. He's got Graxon trying to make moves on him as well. You can see there that they are just fairly close together throughout the field. Toflinski with the fastest lap of the race, but John Meister at the moment doing an absolute stellar job.
That's exactly what he needs to do at this moment, because if he doesn't, then the drivers in front of him are going to start pulling away. But he is really keeping Zelazny in the McLaren very honest. The gap between them is fluctuating anywhere between 4 to 5 to even 6/10 of a second. But that gap is coming down as they are really putting the pedal to the metal now through into the run in towards turn 15. This is going to be very close, tight on the brakes, 70 miles an hour, third gear. Now up the gearbox, flying through the 8-speed gearbox. They've got to go through turn 16. And now this is the opportunity they need. They need to really sort of start lining that car up in the right way possible to close on in on the opposition. And now the overtake button being used by John Meister. He's going to be within DRS zone range. He is. There we go. And now 207, 208, 209. 210 flickers so briefly on the speedo as Zelazny's got the lead. Zelazny's got the lead on lap 6 round the outside of Baran. What a move from the McLaren driver.
Yeah, he made it through there as well. Did an absolutely stellar job, did Zelazny, and he got through over Baran. There's nothing Baran could do about it. It was just sit back, say goodbye, take care, and adios. So that is exactly what happened there from Zelazny. He just went through, did an absolutely stellar job and got his number done and dusted. So yeah, great battles from these guys still happening once more. And Zelazny in front there with Baran behind him, and now we've got a full safety car there as well, and I think that's going down into turn one, and I believe that could be Toflinski, who may have just made that error, and unfortunately looks like he is the one causing that issue as well. But yeah, so interesting from these guys so far. Great racing. Let's see how they get on.
Well, Wasserschwein and both the Godfather. So we've lost an Alpine, we've lost a Alpha Tauri as well along with that. So we're down to 18 cars. So Zelazny leads us on lap 6 out of 26 here at Baku City Circuit. What has been an interesting race so far here for pole position racing, season 10, round 7. And then, of course, we head to the GCC to Saudi Arabia next week for round 8 of the Jeddah Corniche circuit. This is going to close the field up quite significantly, especially with the top 6. So now it's about the restart. And the restarts here at Baku, if anyone might remember Lewis Hamilton versus Sergio Perez a couple of years ago, Lewis did not get it all right. He got it all wrong, let's say. So you've got to be very careful with your braking markers. You don't want to overcook it. You don't want to possibly flat spot these tyres. A lot of the drivers, as Zelazny decides to pit, so could be going for a 2-stop strategy is the McLaren. Kajti, Gauron also in pit lane. So this is the opportunity now with a safety car. This is where people can really change up their strategies. And for those going on a one-stopper, James, especially when we've got Baran versus John Meister at the front end, as we've got the CrowdStrike AMG Mercedes safety car out. Franek has got a penalty for speeding under safety car. Naughty, naughty, naughty. That's one thing that you cannot do.
No, you definitely can't do that. So, unfortunately, well, yeah, penalties it is, dear sir, because you can't do a lot with that. You've just got to kind of suck it up and go, oh, my mistake, I went too fast. So, not an ideal scenario there for him, is it, really?
No, oh, sorry, my bad. And well, you're on the naughty step now. Toflinski in the pit lane, so safety car still out here on lap 7 out of 26. John Meister looking for another win after his efforts at Monte Carlo just last week on the just a couple of weeks ago, actually, 25th of February. I can't believe it is a week ago. Sorry, we've been on. This is our third successive broadcast, myself and James. So, if mistakes do slightly happen, we apologise now for it. But this is going to really give John Meister the opportunity to do a number on Baran in terms of the restart. Zelazny didn't really lose that much in terms of positions. Currently P4 behind Graxon in the sister Mercedes car. Kajdi doing really well in the Williams, currently P4. Maverick in the 6th placed Alpine car, whereas Wasserschein has retired. So has the Godfather. So 2 DNFs out of 20 leaves us with 18 cars still out on circuit. Again, having the opportunity of either doing a 1 or a 2-stop pit strategy here at Baku really does up the ante and keeps us all guessing on what these drivers are going to do here, James.
Yeah, it does. It's a safety car is kind of almost like a digital reset, isn't it? That's the thing. You do get an almost digital reset and everybody's back to where they should be. So I think going forward, they're going to have to just see how they get on here and see what happens, because it's now all about what this man's going to do and whether or not he's going to be able to control the field suitably enough to give it his best opportunity. In hindsight, you would have thought he's just got to stay in front, right? But he's obviously got John Meister and Graxon behind him, with John Meister taking 2nd place. So it's going to be hard for him, but it could be an interesting one. I'm looking forward to seeing how he does it here.
Yeah, as I said, the restart incredibly, incredibly crucial here at Baku. This is a circuit, as I've said multiple times. I'm going to repeat myself again. It is a case of these circuit walls bite back. So back-to-back street circuits here on Pole Position Racing Season 10, Round 7. So we are out for a little bit longer. So we are going to wait for the safety car to peel in. And then once the lights go out on the CrowdStrike AMG Mercedes safety car, it'll be down to Baran to control the pace. He will effectively be the de facto safety car at the front end of the field, and how he deals with the restart is going to be crucial. But then, of course, John Meister and Graxon will want to get the jump on the Mercedes. And another lap clocks on by. So a little bit of a halt to proceedings, but this is one of the things I like about safety cars. It always brings everyone back into close proximity. Jack has DNF'd in the sister Alfa Romeo to John Meister, so that's going to be a difficult one for Jack to come back from, as in the fact that there's still points on the board available all the way through the remainder of Season 10 of Pole Position Racing. A big thank you to everyone that's watching on the JP Broadcasting Network. We are broadcasting some of the races over the course of this 10th season. Of course, Sentex being the defending champion from Season 9. And it really came down to the wire between him and John Meister. John Meister, last time out, was in a Mercedes safety car in this lap as they make their way out of turn number 16. So Baran is going to lead the field as we will very shortly get underway for lap 9 out of 26 around this 3.73 mile circuit. And John Meister weaving from side to side. Now, how long is Baran going to hold them up? Because John Meister has got to have the sense of urgency, not a sign of desperation, because out of turn 20. Now, when is Baran going to start bolting? Looks like he's going to start possibly increasing his speed. He's going to do so not quite yet. They're at 90 miles an hour. When is he going to bolt? He's waiting patiently, dropping the speed, holding everybody up. When is he going to go up the gearbox? Now he's going to go. And look at the launch he got. He caught John Meister napping on the restart. And Graxon looking up the inside very, very quickly indeed. Into turn two on turn one on John Meister. And we've had drama at the back of the field. So another caution out in sector number 1 here at pole position racing at round 7 of season 10. John Meister fending off the advances of Graxon in the Mercedes, and Zelazny looking to make it nearly 3 wide, and he's going to go wheel to wheel with the Mercedes. Oh my goodness me! And has he got the inside line? No, Graxon keeps it pinned round the outside, but Graxon hits the wall.
Yeah, Graxon's at the wall there as well, coming round turn 4 or 5 and 6. We're up through now, and unfortunately for Graxon, he did tag the wall. That's put him under pressure here, so he's going to have to be a little bit smart about what he's going to do now. And at the end of the day, he's got to be careful. He can't afford to do that because he's not going to give him a second bite at the cherry here, Alex. He's going to get him if he needs to, and that will be the thing he wants to do because he don't want to see John Meister and Baron bolt off in the forefront.
No, exactly. And especially with the fact that I think Zelazny is running on a 2-stop strategy, pitted on lap 7 when we were under the full safety car. So that might have given the opportunity. Caution out in sector 2, and as you can see, Zelazny is, and with another safety car. Safety cars breed safety cars, and that is very, very true here in Azerbaijan.
Yeah, it is. As we're getting down there, I think it may have had something to do with Maverick on that one. But we have got another one here as well on lap 9 of 26.
Well, this is really coming into, it was Gowron actually in the sister McLaren to Zelazny that has just DNF'd, so that might have caused the problem. So under full course safety car conditions once again, so Baran's got to do that restart like he did last time, just be completely textbook. Matty gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding in pit lane. And Franek has still got to serve that drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. And there is the Mercedes-AMG CrowdStrike safety car once again, picking up Baran. And once more, it is going to close up the field. But what has happened in the meantime? So where is Zelazny? Zelazny's down in 11th. Did he pit? I didn't really see him dive into the pit lane, so whether Zelazny's had a drama, but he's all the way down in 11th position and was gunning for 3rd place off of Graxon. Oh, he's done a second stop.
He's done a second stop, yeah. He has done a second stop there.
So he's gone back onto the hard compound tyres, so switch to the mediums. Of course, the softs would be quite literally burned through rather rapidly. So Zelazny going with the Ultra 3000 IQ strat when it comes to now having served 2 pit stops. So we are on lap 10 out of 26, and Zelazny might be able to use the opportune moment for these hard tyres to really come into temperature quite quickly. Of course, the hards take a little bit more than the mediums, as we all know, to get the pace through them. When you get that heat through the carcass of the tyre, and then that also radiates through into the brakes underneath the wheels. There is Casualty currently running P3 behind Graxon. John Meister has also pitted for a set of mediums. Matty, who's got to serve a 5-second time penalty, will have that added post-race force for speeding in the pit lane. Mairos has also pitted. Kushol's moved up 2 positions, so started 16th. Toflinski has the fastest lap of the race, and the championship leader will, if it stays like it is here, James, will lose his lead in the standings going into Jeddah next week.
Yeah, I don't think there's really a worry early on, right? Because I think at the end of the day, we're still quite early in the championship standings. So they can, at the end of the day, make sure that they can move and take time and have a bad race. You know, that's the thing, isn't it? They've still got time to do that. So I don't think they're going to be overly worried about it at the moment.
So still under full course safety car conditions for the second time. So we had one on lap 7 or lap 6, and now on lap 11 We are waiting for the notification from race control to indicate when the safety car will be peeling in. And again, Baran, and it's a Mercedes 1-2. Gracent now in second position. And they have been on the hard compound tyres for what will be their 11th lap out of 26. Of course, the AWS statistics showing that you can do a one-stop strategy. Hards will go a little bit longer than the mediums. And with the sunshine bathing majority of the city streets here at Baku City Circuit, is really going to be a test for everybody on how to judge the restart. We've had no real notification as to what could happen over the next 16 laps, including this one. But they are running to a delta, and if they speed under safety car, well, somebody else found out about that earlier, and that was one of the Alpines, aka Maverick, who is all the way down in 15th. Toflinski does have the fastest lap of the race so far, but is all the way down stone dead last. So we've already had 4 retirees. Gauron, Jack, the Godfather, and Wasserschwein are out. So that is one of each of the McLarens, Alfa Romeo, Alpha Tauri, and Alpine. Gracent could factor into a possible... Well, there is a possibility of a 1-2 for Mercedes on the cards for this round. But if Baran doesn't get a lightning restart like he did over John Meister on the previous restart, then he could be under fire very, very quickly from Gracent. Safety car in this lap. So we will very shortly start lap number 12. So the Mercedes AMG CrowdStrike safety car pulls off into the distance, and once again it's down to Baran to control the restart.
Yeah, but he's got his teammate behind him this time. Might make it a little bit easier. I'm not saying any restart's easy, but generally when you've got your teammate behind you, it makes it a little bit more easier to go into turn 1, doesn't it?
It does. Could play a little bit of a rear gunner situation, could Gracent, but that's going to be easier said than done because everyone is out for points. So, pace car, safety car is in the pit lane. We are about to get underway. Green, green, green. Back underway here as we start lap 12 of 26. And they all filter their way down into turn 1. And Gracent holds the tight corporate line as Tazo trying to go on the offensive into turn 2 on Debbie for 5th place. So Haas versus Ferrari. Sentex rounds out the top 4. Casualty for Williams in 3rd and is closing in on Gracent. We've got another yellow out in sector 1, a caution flag out there. So this could be very, very interesting indeed. Mercedes Power rounding out the top 3. Ferrari 4th, 5th and 6th. Busick doing another good job. Up 7 places from 14th at the start. But look at Wellix up from 18th in the Aston Martin, up to 8th place ahead of John Meister. Myros Toflinski now ahead of the Haas, who's dropped down to 11th position. So some drivers really able to use the restart to their advantage. And Zelazny has just lost out to Myros. Well, Zelazny has just got past Myros. My apologies there. Oh, Debbie in the wall. Debbie in the wall off of, and we've got another safety car. Another safety car. Debbie just tank slapped the wall, but who calls the safety car? Debbie's got no front wing. Debbie's got no front wing. That is debris on the circuit. That will be cleared up, and the 5th place Ferrari will have to park it in the pit lane and get a new nose.
Safety cars breed safety cars, and that's kind of what we're seeing here at the moment, isn't it? Really, why they're driving around here. Very tough one again for these guys. They're just poodling around on lap 12. It's going to be a couple of laps under the safety car. We might hopefully get about 10 laps of racing if we can here.
Yeah, I think also the opportunity for those people that have already done a pit stop who might decide to go into pit lane. So Debbie is going to have to pull to the left-hand side as they are going down the start-finish straight. Now, who is going to blink into the pit lane? Right, Baran, I think, has just... Gracent's just got in. Baran has as well. So what is going to happen here? Are the Mercedes double stacking? Might be the case here. Yes, they are. John Meister in the pit, Sentex in the pits, Debbie in the pit. So double stacking at Ferrari, double stacking at Mercedes. Watch the rejoin in the pit lane. But casualty for Williams now takes over the race lead. Tazo, and it's a Williams 1-3. Busick in 3rd. Wellix in 4th. all the way up from way back where on the grid to fourth. Taflinski, despite that drive through with the jump start on the opening lap, has managed to make his way up to 5th position. Started on the outside on the front row alongside the leading Mercedes of Baran, who's now rejoining in 9th place. But again, it's a different driver that's going to be doing the restart here with Kajdi for Williams. And this is something that, what I like about pole position racing, everyone's on the level playing field with regards to the cars, the way that they're set up. Everyone's in the same boat. Everyone's got equal performance. And that is what I like about this kind of league, where everyone's in the same boat. You just got to deal with the punches that are thrown your way, take the rough with the smooth, and see how it all works out.
Yep. There's no other terminology for it, is there, really? It's literally that. You've got to take the rough with the smooth and see how you go. 13 laps. I said they're going to probably go one, maybe one more, depending if the safety car comes in, which is, I believe, we're just about a car. I believe that's Franek, who's just not caught up to the back end of them yet as well. So Franek here is trying to catch up, but he's not quite caught up with him yet there as well. So we are going to go, looks like by the state of it, we're going to go one more, as Franek just cannot get near the back end of the safety car at the moment, and he's trying hard, mind you, as he's on his way round 15.
Yeah, this could give an opportunity to Mateusz Toflinski in 5th position. He's been waiting for an opportunity to be at the sharper end of the field. We are actually on lap 13 out of 26, so we are hitting half distance here at Baku for round 7 of Pole Position Racing Season 10 here on the JP Broadcasting Network. So yeah, Franek, as you said, has got to really start catching up with everybody. As I think you're probably right, we are going to be under safety car for more than likely at least one more lap, but it is going to be Williams 1 and 3, Haas in 2nd, Aston Martin 4th, Red Bull, and then McLaren rounding out the top 6 so far. So Kajdi, Tazo, Busick, Welix, Toflinski, Zelazny, Mairos, Baran, and Graxen, with John Meister for Alfa Romeo, Sauber rounding out the top 10, and with the gaps very, very close between everybody. It's about how you deal with these safety cars, breeding safety cars here around these tight city streets. Of course, everything opens up when they go down the main start-finish straight and through between turns 3 and 4, because you've got 3, you know, it's an unusual circuit here at Baku. You've got this flat-out straight, and then you've got 3 90-degree left-handers, which you've really got to nail, because if you touch the inside wall on one of the corners, it's going to send you pinballing into the other side and hit the barriers hard, and then that's your race done and dusted. Now we've got Kushaw in the... So that's another car, another teammate. So Welix running solo for Aston Martin in 4th place.
Yeah, he is at the moment. Not sure for how long he's going to be able to hold on, though, because obviously you've got all the faster guys coming up as well. So it's going to be an interesting one here, and seeing how these guys do. But I think Casti's got the prime end of the field at the moment. He's just got to make sure that he can hold on to everything here as well, and see how he gets on. It's going to be exciting for him.
Now into the second half of the race here for round 7 here at Baku. And Kajdi will wait for the pace car, the safety car, to peel into pit lane. Safety car will be in this time. Kajdi will now have to be the de facto safety car, and now starts backing everybody up. Starts weaving from side to side. When does Kajdi go for it? They're about to come out of turn number 19. And then into, well, turn 19 and into 20 very shortly. So they're weaving from side to side. So Kajdi trying to do the old psych job on everybody else behind him, as the safety car now pulls into the pits. As we are about to get underway, we're under starter's orders for the start of lap 15 out of 26 here at Baku. Live on pole position racing. And now, there we go. Kajdi goes. Tazo and Busick follow in quick proximity as they run down to turn 1 here on lap number 15. And Franek has ignored the drive-through penalty and has been disqualified from the session. So down to 14 cars. It's side by side between Gragson and Zelazny. And Zelazny, I think, just hit the barriers going into turn number 2. So the McLaren on the back foot is actually being swamped. It's, so you can see there it's Zelazny ahead of Baran and Gragson. So the two Mercedes trying to get through on the McLaren. I think Baran has just got through. Yes, he has. Zelazny being forced out wide.
Zelazny there has got to be careful. You've got these guys all around him at the moment as well, and if he's not careful, he's just going to be pushed out and out and out. He needs to take that line. He needs to get in front of that second Mercedes of Gragson, pop it in and take the racing line, which he has done now as well, so he should be okay. But at the moment, Casti got an absolute flying start out front and has done a great job pulling away and opening up nearly 0.8 of a second here already as we got 9 to go.
Yeah, so that is a second that Kashti for Williams has managed to pull away from Tazo from Haas. Busick rounds out a Williams 1-3 at the moment on lap 15 out of 26 as they make their way down the crest. It's nearly 3 wide between Busick, Taflitsky and Myros. And Myros up into third, goes round the outside, goes off track. And Busick is going to get that place back. Taflitsky very much there or thereabouts in 5th position. Baran, Zelazny, Gragson. Taflinsky now past the Haas of Maidos and is trying to close in on Busick. And Busick is the cork in the bottle right now coming down the start-finish straight. It could be 3 wide into turn 1. The Haas to the inside. Nearly the Red Bull in the middle. And Myros gets through for P3. Busick's very close to the wall. Manages to avoid it. But that's allowed Taflinsky and Baran to get through.
Yeah, they're all coming now, aren't they? Baran, Zelazny and Gragson, they're all closing at an utter literal rate of knots here because that's what they're looking at the moment. You can see Tazo trying to get onto the back of Casti and get through. Myros with Toplinsky, Baran, Zelazny, Gragson and Busick all closing up on him here as well. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what these guys do here, and it's going to be very, very tight. 10 to go. Not long left at all, to be honest, for these guys at all.
Sentex just having to go down pit lane as we ride on board with Zelazny, closing in on Baran in the Mercedes into the next right-hander. This is where it's going to be very, very close as they're coming. Oh, caution at sector 2. Now, what on earth who's caused that? Oh, John Meister! John Meister, big development for the Monaco Grand Prix winner, is out, and that's both Alfa Romeos eliminated.
Yeah, he's out. He's gone, as John Meister, unfortunately. So for him, he's left the session and retired. But Maros here with Toplinsky, Baron, Zelazny and Gragson all closing in at a rapid rate of knots. Is he going to be able to hold on? It's going to be a tall order.
Yeah, and you look at it, Busick has been on out of the entire field. We're down to 13 runners and riders. Tazo very close to the barriers on the left-hand side of the circuit coming out of turn number 19. As he's got Taflinsky in the Red Bull right on his case. DRS now enabled. That's going to give Taflinsky and also Baran the opportunity. The Mercedes looks up the inside of the Red Bull into turn number 1. Forces him out wide. That's Baran up to 4th, but it's going to be very nip and tuck going into turn 2. Zelazny looks to have got past Gragson in the Mercedes for 6th place and now is closing in on the 3 in front. Baran going for 3rd place. Looking towards the inside, in towards turn number 3 on Myros, and he gets a wing ahead, very, very briefly indeed, and a slight glance to the wall for the Haas of Myros. Caution out in sector number 1.
That's Zelazny.
Oh, Zelazny. It was all going so well for the McLaren. He drops down to 12th position, ahead of Sentex in the sister Ferrari Debbie, currently running in P9. But Baran, this has given him the opportunity, and look at the gap he's already pulled on Myros in the Haas. He's up to P3 and has got to find 3.1 seconds to close in on Tazo and then a further second to close in on Kasti. I think someone went a little bit wide and nearly hit the wall. I think it might have been Gragson or Matty that went through at turns 8 and 9. The camera just sort of dipped away for a second. But this is where it really is going to be close to the wire. Taflinsky having to fend off Gragson and the sister car in the Red Bull of Matty. Busick is a further nearly 1.3 seconds behind, but Kashti on lap 17 out of 26 has a 1 second advantage over Tazo. Baran is trying to close on in, and now We are on board with Graxon in the Sister Mercedes, closing in on Toflinski and Myros as they're going to come down the start-finish straight out of turn number 20. DRS, ERS fully engaged here on the start-finish straight. And there you can see the DRS flap opening for Toflinski, looking towards the left-hand side, pulling alongside Myros at over 210 miles an hour into turn 1. Toflinski through for 4th, and Graxon gets through as well as Myros drops 2 positions, maybe even make that 3 because Matty has just got through on the run to turn 2.
Yeah, they're alongside each other at the moment as well. It's very, very close here. Matty has now got through. Myros has got DRS and get there. So you see in the background, the only one that hasn't is the Ferrari of Debe, unfortunately. Semtex with the fastest lap on at 1:43.031. Spreading out quite a little bit here as well, as Graxon is now trying to get onto the battle of Toflinski with 8 to go.
Yeah, Casualty doing a sterling job, timed the restart perfectly and managed to weather the storm here at Baku. As we run on board with Graxon in the 5th placed Sister Mercedes. Barant, as we've got a caution out in sector number 1, so someone has lost it at turn 1. It looks like it could be Wellick in the final runner in this event at the moment. Now, Wellick is running as high as P4. There's Tazo, 1.4 seconds behind Casualty. Tazo has made up 9 places, the most moves gained over the course of this 26-lap race. Casualty started 6th, now leading with 7 to go, including 8 to go, including this one. And this is where it matters the most. Who is going to put it all on the line, get close to the barriers, scrape them, and still come out smiling full of rainbows? At the moment, Graxon's trying to close in on Toflinski, the leading Red Bull in 4th place. His teammate Matty just behind in 6th, but Graxon will have the opportunity to use ERS. DRS now engaged. The overtake button has been engaged on the Mercedes, and he's now going to look to the left-hand side at over 205 miles an hour, and he gets through. That's a 3-4 at the moment for Mercedes, as we've got 7 to go. Myros in the pits with 7 laps remaining.
Yes, at the moment, unfortunately for Myros, he's lost a place to the Lesney there as well. Baron is also in the mix. He's just cleared Tazo. So Baron has DRS. Tazo, unfortunately, there for him. He's down a position. We've got Graxon and Toflinski. Toflinski, sorry, as I put my teeth in, is still going at it here as well. 7 to go. What's going to happen? Well, it's anybody's game, and at the moment, it could be anybody's race with the amount of people that keep hitting the wall or causing safety cars or cautions out in certain sectors. Is still wide open, even coming into this last 7.
Yeah, Baran last time around was nearly 0.8 of a second quicker than Tazo in the Haas, who is still holding on to that 3rd position, but Graxon is now starting to hunt Tazo down. Oh, Toflinski was so close to the wall through turn 8, but managed to keep away from glancing the right-hand side tyres, and he would have been pinballing like nobody's business through out of turn number 9 with a very, very damaged Red Bull racing car. But the gaps are starting to expand. But Casualty on lap 19 out of 26 makes his way in towards turns 18, 19, and then lines it up, points the throttle, gives it a good old squirt, and then gets going, and will be using ERS only if he's got any left to deploy. You'll be able to recharge that battery very, very nicely from turn 7 onwards, depending on how hard you are on the brakes. As Graxon closing in on Tazo, and Graxon now up into 3rd place. So a good, solid job by the 2 from Mercedes. This is really going to help their opportunities, not just for both respective drivers in the championship, but also the fact that they're on 104 points coming into the 7th round. And with John Meister out, that changes everything at the sharp end of the drivers' standings after just 7 races. It can just go to show that sometimes you've got to play the percentages. Tazo really starting to make the rear end of that Haas as wide as humanly possible, as Toflinski is trying to close on in and does not use the overtake at that particular point on the circuit. This is going through into turns 6 and 7. Well, they're going to be through 5 and 6. Now it's the run down into the tight right-hander here at 7. Before a little squirt on the throttle, then you've got to really measure it up, go as close to the wall on the right hand side as you dare, through turn 8, nip the curbing on the left hand side, avoided on the right, as Toflinski had a bit of a moment. The back end stepped out to the left hand side for the Red Bull, and that drops him to over half a second behind Tazo. Very, very lucky indeed.
Yeah, he definitely was, but that's a risk you got to take, isn't it? That's the risk you've got to hope for, that you are going to be as close as you could possibly get it, and he was. And unfortunately, he was just a little bit too close. Matty's now closing in at the same time here. This is the closest battle on track between Tazo Toplinsky and Matty. They're on the run out of turn 18, 19, and through into 20. That fast complex where they're going to hit 210 miles an hour. 210, and you'll be able to see it with Toplinsky here as well. DRS is going to be open all at the same time. He's already going to get it done there. What's Tazo going to do in response? Nothing. He hasn't got anything to do in response. What about Matty? Well, Matty nearly had it, but he didn't quite get it going into turn 1 as we're going 5 to go.
Yep, so Baran now trying to close that gap to Kajti, and it could be the fact that one lone Williams at the front end of the field battling away against the team that it's a customer for, as in Mercedes. Baran has got that gap down to under a second on lap 21 out of 26. We'll see how Baran responds. Baran seems to be a lot quicker, a lot more calm, a lot more composed in hitting the apexes and getting the momentum through the maximum out of that Mercedes. The W14 as they head into the next complex at turn 7, and Baran has got a real turn of speed. Gap now down to less than 7 tenths out of turn 9, into the left at 10, and now it's around this technical fast flowing part of the circuit as they go into, and the overtake button being used by Baran to get that gap down ever so slightly by just a slight press on the button. Gives him the opportunity, so overtake being enabling the ERS part of the power unit on this Mercedes, but that gap is coming down slowly but surely, and it's only a matter of time before Baran pulls the trigger and gets past Kajti for the race lead. But what does Gragson have to say about the matter as well?
Well, he's going to have DRS. That's what Baran's going to have, and he's going to close right in now. You're going to absolutely see him. He's on the overtake button. DRS wide open now as well. It's activated. He's going to close right up. They're going over the line into turn 1. 3 temps. He gained practically 2.5 temps before he even got to turn 1. So this could happen very, very shortly.
Yeah, it's all dependent on the decisions when it comes to strategy. Reference these drivers. So now we have a race on our hands, ladies and gentlemen, here at Baku for round 7, and it's getting closer and closer. It's 2 tenths. Oh, Baran is getting so close to Kajti, and Kajti can feel the heat underneath the collar right now because Baran is breathing right down the back of the rear diffuser on that Williams. So it is going to be quite crucial how they negotiate this. This is 4 to go, including this lap. Baran has got a real head of speed, and Kajti needs to defend as soon as Baran starts attacking him with quite a lot of aggression.
Yeah, he's just got to save his battery, isn't he? That's all he's got to do, really. He hasn't got a lot of other options. You've seen the speed difference with DRS. You're going to see the speed difference very shortly coming out of 15 and 16. They're going to be going through here. So it's going to be very, very tough for them, for Kajti to hold on to. I don't know if he's actually going to be able to at all here.
Yeah, that's going to be the big question that needs to be answered right now, because out of turn number 16 goes Kajti, goes Baran. Where's Gragson? There he is, about 1.4 seconds further back. Now the speed starts to increase into turn number 17, and the rate of speed that they're carrying through these tight walls here at Baku is something to behold. Now it's the real line that needs to be drawn in the sand. Baran closing in on Kajti. Gap now under 4 tenths. Now under 3 tenths. Into turn 1. Baran needed to be about 3 tenths behind for that tactic to work. And with it now being so close, 3 tenths as they go into turn 2, the second DRS zone is active. So Baran might get a little bit of a run going into turn number 3. But it's dependent on how Kajti responds. Kajti's got no DRS as they go into the 90 right at turn 3. Nice and neat on the apex there by Kajti, just planting the car exactly where he needs to.
Yeah, that's the only thing he can do. He's got to use his ability to defend to be able to make sure that he can here. So it's going to be very, very tough for him to do. We're on lap 23 of 26. Not long left whatsoever here of this race, and it's all about what Kajti's going to do here as well. So it's going to be interesting over the last 3 laps, and we can safely say it could be Casty's race if he could just hold on a little bit longer.
Well, Busic's gone out. Busic's out, and there was a caution in Sector 1. So yellow flags are out in Sector 1. Yeah, Baran is really starting to wind up the wick on that Mercedes. Gap now 4/10 as they're making their way down into turn 15 again. Down the crest, down the hill, into the right-hander, down into third gear, 70 miles an hour. Now, start to apply the power. And Kajdi has hit the overtake button for a brief moment to get the explosive power of the ERS to deploy on the Williams. And now on to turn 20. Across the start-finish straight, gap now 5.5 tenths of a second. It's just dependent on what happens with Baran. He's closing in again. He's 3 tenths behind. Now he's going to... Oh, he sticks his front wing out as if to say to Kajdi, well, you know what? It's not just me that's behind you now. Look how close Graxon's gotten.
Yeah, Graxon is there as well. It's going to be a freeway fight going into these final 2 laps, of course. So let's hope that these guys will be able to keep it clean and see what goes on once more, as they are going to be very, very close going into the final 2 laps. So we're going to have to find out how these guys get on here, Alex, with not long left whatsoever.
Yep, that's the crucial decisive factor. What will Baran do? What will Graxon do? What will Kajdi do? Kajdi's the one that has the racing line. We run on board with Baran, and that gap has gone over a second at this point. Baran really needs to put everything into this race, but if the tyres are starting to go on the back end, the traction won't be as fruitful when it comes to pointing and squirting that car out of corners. Gap now down to 8 tenths. It's just dependent on whether he hits the overtake and closes on in. Gap now 8 tenths of a second into turn 15. On lap 24 out of 26. We'll have 2 to go. Caution out in sector number 2. So someone's had a bit of a drama. We are down to 12 cars with just over 2 laps remaining. Overtake button being used by Graxon. So ERS being deployed. Now it's the run out of turn number 20 that they're going to circumvent their way through. Look at the amount of laps that Kajdi's been on those hard tyres. 17 laps. He's got to make them last to 19. That could be the big difference. Medium versus hard compound tyre. Graxon looked to stick the nose up the inside of Baran. Baran's up the inside of Kajdi through turn 1. Has he got through? No, he hasn't. And Graxon's surrounded into the barriers and he's out. Graxon has dropped it out of turn 1. And it could have been a possible 1-2 for Mercedes. And Graxon now rejoins in 5th place. What a shame.
Yeah, Graxon got it all wrong there as well. Too much gas he put on, and unfortunately around he went, and that was it. Game over, unfortunately, for him on lap 25. We've got 1 more to go here, and this great race that we've had so far, and it's still Casti out in front. Is he going to be able to hold on, Alex? That's going to be the question for the final lap of the race.
Baran from Mercedes will have that answer, as we are 1.5 laps effectively remaining here at the Baku City Circuit for round 7 out of season 10 for pole position racing. Kajdi leading the way in the Williams through turn 8 and through turn 9. Neatly negotiated by the Williams driver out of turn 10. Now we'll start to apply the power as they'll carry speed through this complex. It's fast, it's demanding, and it's very, very precise. You've really got to be on your A game. And with Baran within 5.5 tenths of a second, make that 7 tenths into turn number 16, Kajdi will see one thing. Final lap will be underway this time, so just over 3.7 kilometers still to go here. Another 20 turns of this Baku City Circuit to negotiate. And Kajdi looking for a win here on the city streets of Azerbaijan. Now across the line they will go. It's a very long run down to the start-finish straight. And final lap underway. And look, Baran came out of...
Get him.
He got him. Baran got him, had a run on Kajdi. And with 1 lap to go through into turn number 1, Kajdi drops it. Well, it wasn't the fact that he dropped it. Baran just had the overspeed. Caution. Oh, Teflitsky! Teflitsky's just had a drama. He's lost the front end, lost the front wing. That's knocked him out of the podium positions.
Final lap as well.
Maverick has also gone. So both of the Alpines don't finish. No points for Enstone. But Taflinski dropped it, put too much on the loud pedal, and that has gifted his teammate Matty a podium. 11 cars still running. It's very much, I thought there was attrition in Monte Carlo last week. We've had plenty of it, just as much, here at Azerbaijan for round 7. I think everyone won't be breathing a sigh of relief because Jeddah is just as fearsome. But we ride on board on lap 26 out of 26 for Baran in the Mercedes through into turn 15 for the 26th and final time. He put it on pole position. He managed to get through everything, including 2 restarts, and what's more, finding himself outside of a possible podium. But it is not going to be enough for Casualty to hold on for the race lead, because now it's the run to the start-finish line to get the checkered flag. Baran wins here in Baku by taking the victory ahead of Casualty, who's going to do all he can over the checkered flag, over the finish line. Baran wins, Casualty second. Matty will pick up P3 for Red Bull. But my goodness me, Casualty nearly had it in the bag. Baran got him through turn 1 on lap 26 of 26. Riding on board with Wellix, Graxon will pick up P4. Taflinski, no front wing et al. Loses a podium, finishes P5. Tazo in 6th. Zelazny, the sole McLaren, in 7th. Both Ferraris, funnily enough, make it to the finish. Debbie in 8th. Sentex in 9th. Myros in 9th place. Ahead of Sentex, with Wellix being the last of our classified finishers. But Baran, pole position, and takes the win here at round 7. You couldn't have scripted how that race was going to go.
No, definitely not. You couldn't write it, could you really? We'd said it was a battle of who's going to last the longest, and I think that was the case here as well. It's going to be very interesting going forward from this one.
So, Myros with the driver of the day. The Haas driver doing a very, very good job. Was at the sharp end, was also running in the top 3 at one point. But it's Baran from Mercedes that picks up the win here at Baku. Casualty takes 2nd. Matty takes 3rd ahead of Graxon. So a 1-4 for Mercedes. Solid points for that team, along with Red Bull, because Taflinski with 3 pit stops, twice on the mediums, once on the softs, and also finished on the hard tyres. Tazo, Zelazny, Debbie, and Myros ran at the top 9. Sentex and Wellix, the last of the classified finishers. Maverick for Alpine out. Busick for Williams out. John Meister, biggest development out of the race, and might very well drop a little bit further behind the 2 in the championship. Kushaw and Franek finishing 15th, but a DNF. Kushaw, Gauron, Jack, the Godfather, and also Wasserschwein for Alpine. Unfortunately, not even getting to the first couple of laps of the race. Well, James, round 8, Jeddah, another fearsome street circuit, another circuit that these drivers are going to be put through the ringer on.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think they're going to have to do a lot as well with street circuits in general. I think street circuits, Monaco, Baku, it's going to be tough here as well.
Well, that concludes coverage here on JP Broadcasting of Pole Position Racing Season 10, Round 7. Monaco, 11 finishers. Azerbaijan, 11 finishers. But Baran, at the end of it all, finished on the top step. Thank you so much for watching. He's been James Parfitt. My name's Alex Goldschmidt. Join us for IGP Fun Formula 3 at Interlagos in probably about just under an hour's time. Race hard, race fair, and if in doubt, flat out. See you next time. Goodbye.